Welcome to today's Tech Talk. So, in this episode, I will be talking about Postman and see what we can do through to test and manage APIs in our projects. So, this is a more useful tool for QA engineers, but it's also helpful for developers as well in API management. So, it's not only a QA tool. So we'll dig into the contents directly without wasting much time. Yeah. So what is API testing? So first and foremost, so everyone knows what an API is and what API testing is. But just to get a heads up, so let's see a simple description in this slide. So as you can see, API testing is a type of a software testing that involves testing the application programming interfaces to determine if they meet these expectations for functionality, reliability, performance, security, and stuff. So to test these APIs, so we need some kind of a tool. So there are a lot of free tools available in the market, such as SOAP UI, Catalan, JMeter and Postman and stuff. So today we'll be focusing on how Postman can help our API testing. So I will mostly focus on a high level since there are a couple of newcomers here, and I think it will help them to get some idea what Postman is, and then they can exploit on their own in their own project work. Okay, what is Postman? So simply put, so we can say that Postman is a collaboration platform for API development. So in this case, so it can be used for many of our scenarios. So the first thing is it can be used as an API client to create and execute any REST or SOAP queries. It can also be used to define complex requests to get responses, and it actually began as a REST client only, but today has evolved into a comprehensive API platform which supports all the above mentioned queries. So it can be used as a tool to automate manual tests, which we are doing in our projects, and help us integrate them into our continuous integration pipelines. So that will make sure that we always have a regression test running for APIs in our production. It can also be used to create mock servers and to communicate the expected behavior of an API by simulating the endpoints and their response. So without having to set up a backend server, so which is a pretty useful feature for developers. So the other thing is API monitoring. So in creating monitors, you can monitor the health of your APIs through Postman monitoring tool. So which is monitoring the performance, response times, and if there are any outages. So everything is being monitored by this Postman monitoring tool. So we can use that as a monitoring tool as well. And also, most importantly, it provides the ability to work in a shared workspace, just like we do development in Visual Studio. So now Postman has also introduced that feature to work in a shared workspace and have a single source of truth. And once some team member pushes his changes and commits, so everyone else can see it and work on top of that. So this is the summarized version of what Postman can do. So let's first take a look at Postman in its role as an API client. So so you can the first thing is you can create and execute any REST, SOAP, or GraphQL queries. You can send different types of requests, like the main the most the most popular type is URL encoded requests, which we are mostly sending in our projects. Or we can also work with multi-part form data requests, where you can upload binary data like uploading simple text files, images, audio or video and stuff. So you can use Postman for that as well. And also instead of creating manual calls through the command line, so you can use the Postman collections to run the requests that you have and get responses easily. So the other thing is you can easily view the status code, response time, the response size, the request size, and also there's this Postman built-in test code generator, or the test code snippet generator, and the schema verifications, which actually make it easy to inspect and test the response bodies. So as you can see in this image, so this is a simple request that I used in Taurus. So here you can see that this simple login request has taken a total of 1530 milliseconds, and you can see that you can get a detailed description or a detailed breakdown of the time taken in each stage of the request. So likewise, if we hover over this size or the response code, so you can get a detailed description of each and every one of them for each individual request. So it has some cool features like that. Yes, and the other thing is it has built-in support for variables, which is pretty important. So in Postman, you can keep your code and the requests dry by reusing values in multiple places. So for those who don't know what dry means, so it means don't repeat yourself. So you have to use variables as much as possible. So it's an abbreviation for that. So you can do that if you are using Postman for your API testing. So in Postman, you can also store values at the workspace level, which are called global variables. And you can store them as environment variables, which are at the environment level, which is only accessible by a certain specific environment. So global variables are accessible by any environment that you have inside Postman. And also you can use a collection level variables as well. So environment variables are the most popular type. So you can add these variables to the URL parameters and response, sorry, request headers, request body, even the authorization, and even you can variabilize this method type as well, post, get, put method type as well. Okay, so the other thing is, so as I said earlier, we can use environments to easily switch between different setups without changing the request. So like if you want the same test to be run in different environments of your project, like the production environment or the UAT environment, so you just have to change the variable values using the environments, and you can run the same test for different environments without having to repeat the code. So that is another benefit that Postman provides with this built-in support for variables. The next one is, so if you need to manage sensitive data like API keys or like passwords, PIN numbers, so you can do so by storing them in session variables. So these session variables actually remain local to your workspace and will not be shared between other people's workspaces. So likewise, you can use these session variables if you are working with sensitive data. And the next thing is, so in this image, so you can see that so the variable which is resolved, you can see the variable value, the initial value and the current value. So current value is the one we are taking for the current iteration of the test every time. And as you can see, its scope is also displayed below that. So you can hover over a variable and get these details in any variable inside Postman. Okay, the next thing is it allows to manage authentication very easily. So it provides built-in support for a lot of authentication protocols like OAuth 2.0, 1.0, and I think many of those things, AWS signature. So there are so many authentication protocols which are being which are being supported by Postman. So it's easy to work with APIs no matter the authentication protocol which is backing it. So this is another reason why it is popular among many developers and testers in the IT community, because it has a lot of support for various authentication protocols. And also, if your system is using cookies, it allows us to help manage cookies easily as well. So you can store cookies in variables and use them in future requests. So that's what I have done in this screenshot in Taurus. So I am just storing the response cookie from the login request and using it in any other future tests in the same collection. So that's one way of storing a cookie. So you can use, there are several methods. So you can use any of those methods to manage your cookies inside the collection. So, and there are many more features as well, what you can do with Postman as an API client. So I will not go into details about every one of them. So one last thing that I would need your attention is that you can generate code snippets using Postman. So if you have a login request which is written in JSON, so if you want this request to be converted into a different language, so you can do that using Postman, using its code generator. So it will be really easy if you want to use the same code in a different language in a different application. So that's another benefit that it provides. So I will go through this in the demonstration a little later on. The next thing is how useful Postman is for developers when mocking APIs in early stages of their development. So this is one area that I have not personally explored. So this is what the API, the Postman API documentation gives tells in their own website. So this is how it helps us to mock servers. So Postman matches the requests and generates the responses to show how your API will run in production. So these mock servers will help the developers into finding errors earlier in development, and to identify any weak spots in your APIs, so that they can use this as sort of a debugging tool early in their development and do it effectively and efficiently. But I think most of these features do not come free with the free version of Postman. So I guess you will have to go for the upgraded versions to get the full result or full advantage of these features. So there are two types of mock servers that Postman provides, which are public and private. So the public mock servers are great for open source or individual projects if you are working on. But if you are working on some private APIs, so internal APIs, so internal projects like in our offices, so you'll need, I think, private mock servers which will do the work for you. But I think the private mock servers come with the upgraded plan, so only public mock servers are provided in the free version of Postman, I guess. Right. So the next thing is API monitoring. So this is a more interesting and important section. So this is a very handy tool for monitoring the API collection and make sure that everything is going smoothly in your production or in your UAT environment. So it actually helps you to identify problems with your APIs like poor performance, response errors, outages, and stuff. And also you can customize your collections with the tests that you need and include them in the Postman monitoring. So you don't want, if you don't want to include all the monitoring, all the APIs in your test suite to the monitoring suite, so you can skip that skip the ones that you do not want, and you can just monitor the health of only the required APIs. For an example, so in a test suite, we will have a lot of negative test cases as well, like logging in with different wrong username and password, and logging in without username or a password, stuff like that. But if you want to monitor the health of the login request, you won't need to monitor the health of all the negative test scenarios. So you will have to just monitor it in the login request, the successful login request. So likewise, so you can include only the APIs that you need in the monitoring tool. So I'll be demonstrating this as well in the coming slides. So there's this detailed monitoring dashboard in Postman, so which will give you a straightforward, actually a beautiful overview of your monitoring results. So you can identify if there are any problems very easily. So as you can see in this image, so this is a monitor that I have created for the Taurus generic APIs. So you can see that in the duration section, so you can set them to weekly, hourly, or daily, or I think even in minute intervals. And another important thing is that it allows us to do this monitoring from 6 different locations around the world. But the thing is, in the free version, they only provide just one location, which is the United States. But if you have the paid version or the upgraded version, so you can do this from 6 different locations in the world, which is, I think, a very probable use case. Even in Taurus, I think we might have such acceptance points because there will be cabinets all around the world which will need to be accessed from people around the world. So this is a very good feature that Postman provides in order to test APIs from different locations around the world. So the other thing is it will notify you with monitoring results after each monitoring cycle is done. So it will send you an email, or it will also provide in-app notifications. The most important thing is the emails. So I have a couple of screenshots of some emails. So as you can see in the first email, so it's about a successful monitoring run. So it says that one active monitor has been run, and it has about 140 requests, and it says that the monitor is healthy and the success rate is 100%. And also you can see the response time. This is the average time. Yeah, so likewise, you can get an email always after one monthly cycle of your APIs is done. And the next thing is, as you can see, where I have the monitor has faced some problems. So it says that 14 requests are not tested. It could not be tested for some reason. And in the email itself, it provides a small insight into what requests failed and how they failed. So if you click this view run results button, so you will be redirected to the Postman app directly, and you can identify what the issues were in that monitoring cycle. So likewise, it's a really cool feature that Postman provides, this monitoring tool. So I'll go extensively into details with the demonstration. Next up is Postman Workspaces. So in a workspace, so as I told earlier as well, so there's this automatic and secure syncing of work, which ensures that every member in the team gets the latest updates of the code as soon as changes are pushed. So this is not new for us as developers and QAs, but in Postman it has provided this flexibility so that a lot of people who are working in a single project can work synchronously in the project. So there are two roles. One is editor and the other is viewer. So the editors can edit anything which is pushed to the centralized space, and also the viewer can only view the results and what requests were sent and what responses were received. So they can't edit anything. And now to the most important part for QA engineers, I would say. So automation of APIs using Postman. So as you all know, test automation or shifting to automated API testing means you will have to spend a lot less money on QA work and experience less lag time between development and QA, and you will also find out any errors as soon as possible, and it will help you to spend less time working in production errors. So for that, Postman can be used really effectively. So this Postman and their command line interface, which is called Newman, so they allow the users to set up automated API tests very easily, even along with the integration of CI tools like Jenkins. And also, if you don't want to integrate any third-party tool, you can also aggregate these tests as seen in this image and run in the Postman collection runner itself and automate the tests. So in this collection runner, you can deselect a couple of tests and select only the tests that you want, and you can set the number of iterations that you need to be run. So everything can be configured in this collection runner, and it will be easy for you to, easy for you to run the API tests in an automated way using this collection runner. Okay. Right. So now let's just look into some of the cool features in Postman, including some of the features that I already discussed that you might have not known about or might not have time to explore yet. So let's go into the Postman app, and let me share my Postman app with you guys. I think I have open. Yeah. Okay. I hope you guys can see the screen. So in Postman, the first thing is so you can use this Postman console for debugging. So in this Postman console, so I'll clear everything first. So in this console, everything that we are sending, every request that we are sending and every response that we are receiving, so everything is logged in this console, and it will be a really helpful tool for you to debug if you want. So let's say, so this is a simple login request in Taurus. So if I send the request now, so it will just provide me with the past. Yeah, so as you can see, this is the response body, and you can see that the request has passed, and these are the request headers. So you can see the response headers, everything. So if you for some reason, if your URL or if your API request fails, so let's say there's an unresolved variable where which you don't know, so there could be a this is a simple login request, but you could have a URL which has a lot of variables inside it, and one of them might not be resolved. So it's not easy to find them using manual just by looking at it. So the best thing to do is you can just log everything in the console, and here you will see that this URLs variable is not resolved. So that's why this request fails. So likewise, you can easily use the console to log anything and debug if there is any issue with your request. So even if you hover over the variable, you will see that it says that it's an unresolved variable, and this is not defined in the collection environment or globals. So additionally, if you want to, if you have a lot of variables and if you want to see what each variable's value is, so you can just log the variable value into the console as well, just get this value and log it into the console. As you can see, this URLs variable is, since it's undefined, so it will not provide you with any details. So likewise, you can easily use it to debug any issue that you come across when you are testing an API. So if it's resolved, then it will nicely give you the actual result. Okay, so that's about the console, using the console for debugging. The next one is generating a code snippet. So which I told you guys in the presentation as well. So there's this code button in this site. So if you click it, so this login request will be converted into any selected language in this drop down. So let's say we want it in PHP or something. So it will convert it nicely into that selected language. So this is another useful way you can use the code generator. So you can use this if you want the same request in a separate language. So you can use it in another application. So you have a lot of language support here, even HTTP and stuff. So you can see everything is provided request. They have also resolved the variable. So in here I have it as a variable, but when it's converted, they resolve the variable as well. Yeah. So that's the code snippet generator. The next thing is skipping a test condition. So you might come across scenarios like where you want to skip some tests if you are working on a different environment. For an example, so let's say in Taurus itself we have this customer concept, and we have a delete customer feature as well. So in production environment we will not run the delete customer environment because only the live customers are in the production environment, so we don't want them to be deleted. So we need to skip these customer related tests, most of the customer related tests from the prod environment. But in dev environment we'll be testing them because we need them to be tested to make sure that they are working fine. So for that we can use this skipping of a test conditional. So we can just this I have again taken this login request for quick responses. So it's the easiest use case that I could come across. So let's say I don't so let's say this is a login request and I'm testing. So in Taurus we have this acceptance criteria where every response should be received within 1 second in the production environment. So obviously we won't be achieving that in the dev environment because the resource level is way lower than the production environment in dev. So in dev it will obviously take more than 1 second for a request to come. So if we have this tests written for testing that the request is below 1 second, and if we run this in dev it will fail. So it will not it will actually give us a some kind of a mistaken idea that some of the tests have failed, and you might be worried why these tests have failed. So but since it's a response time test, it's not one that must pass in the dev environment. So in likewise scenarios, so what you can do is we can just write a conditional test. So I have this constant declared here, and if the environment value of the environment variable, so everything is environment here. So this environment variable is set to dev here in my variable file. So if it is dev, then I'm telling this test to skip. Otherwise I'm telling the test to run. So let's say now since my environment is dev, it should skip this test once I run the URL. So if I go to test results, so as you can see it's skipped the login test. But if I change this environment to prodo something else, something other than dev, because I'm just checking for dev here. So if I change it to prod, the test will be run and it will fail obviously because this is the dev environment and it has taken 2 seconds and it's not below 1 second. So likewise we can use this skipping tests conditionally feature to actually use to be used in many use cases in our projects. The next one is visualizing responses. So if you are getting a very complex response and it's really hard for you to read it in JSON format, so you can just visualize that request, sorry, the response data within the Postman app itself. So if I send this login request again, so this is not hard to read because it's a small response response data. But if you have a big response set, response data set, which is really hard to be read in Postman app itself. So what you can do is you can actually visualize in the this visualize tab. So for that you can visualize it in an HTML table. So so for that I have actually created this advanced visualize code. So here so this request URL is actually retrieving the localization texts in our Taurus project. So what localization text is, we have a key for each and every word that is displayed inside our website. So if I send this request, you will be able to understand, I guess. So in this request, you can see that every text that we have in the website, so this welcome back, please log into your account, this text has this key value. So this text welcome. So if you go to a different one, let's say text reset password means the value is reset password. So in this scenario, it's really hard to read everything in the JSON format here. So what you can do is you can write an HTML table as a template variable, and you can see that I have used some CSS styling as well. And if you write this HTML table to get each of the responses into this table, and I'm getting the value as the header, and I'm getting the key I'm getting the key as the top row, and the value as the next row. So in this HTML table, I'll for each of these results, I'll get a separate CSS style card. So if I go to this visualize tab, you can see that it's beautifully displayed with different colors and stuff if you want to style it more. So you can see that text welcome is this one and text password is this one. So this can be easily used for you to visualize your responses and make sure that it's more readable than in the in this JSON format. But I think more than this scenario, I think this is more useful for scenarios where you want you have let's say some graphs in the website, and if you want to ensure that the graphs with certain types of certain sets of data are exactly which looks like in the UI, so you can use the same HTML stuff here, and you can get the graphs into this visualize tab and make sure that everything is as it should be in the UI. So you can verify that in the Postman app itself for this with this visualization feature. So you have to just write this small code after the HTML table. Just visualize this is a built-in method in Postman, and this is the HTML coding, the part that I defined. So it just gets the response and it visualizes the results into this visualizer tab. So that is how you visualize data. So the most useful use case that I can come across, I can think of, is the usage of graphs and stuff to make sure that they look like the same in the UI. The next one is the interceptor. So we can use the interceptor in Postman, which is opened using this icon here. So we can use this interceptor to capture requests from our Chrome browser. So let's say for first you need to install the Google Chrome extension, which is known as the Postman interceptor. So once you have installed that and made the connection successful, so you can see this interceptor connected message here. So if you set this capture requests to on, and if I want to save the requests to a specific collection, so I have this captured requests collection here, which doesn't have any requests as of now. So if I want to capture all the requests from Google Chrome and capture them inside this collection, so I can just simply switch on this one, and you can see that once I work in Chrome, you will see that in the captured requests folder, you will be getting all the requests that I sent from Chrome. So as you can see, there are a lot of get post methods sent. So if I go to Chrome and log into our system, so you will see the login request will be here. So as you can see,
the browser, you have not shared your desktop.
Yes, Setu. So I was just showing you guys the requests only, request addition only. Because I want you guys to see the automatic addition of requests here. So yeah, so hope you can see the Postman screen now. So as you can see, there are so many unwanted API requests as well. So for an example, we will not need these Google. Let's say this play.google.com and stuff. So we'll only need this Taurus technology related API calls. So what we can do is we can just copy the domain, and so we can write a regular expression here. So or else we can just write the simple text here like this, and set it, and I'll just clear everything up. I'll just delete this one and create a new one, new collection. So I'll set the new collection as the new destination. And since now we have just mentioned that we want the URLs only containing this text, so you will see I'll just go and refresh my Chrome browser. So I'm refreshing the dashboard of Taurus. So you will see that I'm only getting the Taurus related URLs here. So that way you can filter between the URLs that we want and we don't want. And also if we want only the get methods, or if we want only the post methods, so let's say I just want the post methods here. So you just have to write post, and I'll just go to my Chrome browser and just create an entity. So so as you can see in the Postman, you will not see any request yet. As soon as I save it, you will see the post request in the collection run. It's like this one. Yeah. So this is what I just created, and you will not be getting any get requests because I specified that I only need the post request. So this feature is actually really helpful in if you are creating a test suite from scratch, because even when I created the test suite for Taurus project, I didn't know about this feature, and I had to write the API requests, each request manually. But now, since you know what you can do with this feature, so if you want to write a regression test, so you just have to go to each and every URL from the Chrome browser that you want to be featured in the regression test, and you will be getting everything here in the collection that you specify. And after that, what you can do is you can just set everything in order, and you can just make this as a variable, and you can change the headers, and you can change the body stuff. So if I go to the body, so this is what I just typed in Chrome. So you can change this and you can set in as variables and stuff. So bulk of the work that you need to do to initiate a test suite can be done really easily using this interceptor tool. So that is the usage of this interceptor tool. So I guess you'll find it very useful if you're working in Postman in future. So the other thing is it can I'll just switch this off, and it can also capture cookies as well. So let's say I want to capture cookies from this domain, so our Taurus domain. So I just have to switch this on and get the set the domain, and if I go to cookies in here, so you will see that in this this one, so I have just captured these couple of cookies. So if I so that's how you use the capture cookies feature to actually capture any cookies that you have in that specified domain. So that's about the interceptor tool. So just switch is off, and this is also switched off. So yeah, so that's about the interceptor tool. So after that, I'll go to the monitoring of API. So I told you guys in the presentation as well about monitoring. So in monitors, so what you can do is you can actually create a monitor to monitor your API requests in scheduled intervals. So this is a monitor that I have created for the Taurus generic APIs. So if I go to edit, you will see the configuration. So I just have to first define the collection that I need to be tested, and the version, it's only current because I don't have different versions, and the environment. So I have a couple of environment files, and I just want this generic environment to be run, and the monitor. So the monitor schedule. So as you can see, the monitor's schedule is set to be run every day at 12 a.m. So you can change this into hour timers, every hour or every 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours and stuff. Or you can set this to run in week timers, just as I have done, every day, every weekday, every Monday and stuff. And you can also set them in minute timers only if you are in an upgraded plan. So since you are in a free plan, you can't use this feature. So that's how you set the schedule, and the region is as I told earlier. So you can't manually select regions because I'm on a free plan, and you can receive email notifications for up to 5 recipients. So these are the configurations that we can set to our monitor. So if I go to the monitor again, so as you can see, these are the monitor runs. So this was a new monitor that I actually created a couple of days back for the demonstration itself. So this is not the workspace that I'm using for the project, just for the demonstration itself. So this is the same monitor that I have created in my project as well. So as you can see, this was the date that I created this monitor. I ran a manual test or a manual monitor run on that day at 5 p.m. And after that, you can see every day at 12 a.m. this monitor has been running. So as you can see, a couple of days it has failed, and you can see the failed percentage and the response time. And in here, failed percentage is 8%. So in the last run, which was run on today morning at 12 a.m., so you can see the fail percentage is 0, and the response time is 79 seconds. So this is the average time. So if you want to filter your requests with an individual request, so let's say we want to take the get cabinets request. So you can see the times taken in each of the monitoring run, and you'll be able to see the fail percentage of that individual API call. And if you set all requests here, you will see everything in here, and it's really not easy to read. So there's no way to study this graph extensively using the free plan. So you just have this visualization only. And in addition to that, if we click on a monitor in run, so you can see the number of failed tests, number of errors, and since I have only run this within one region, so it says just one region and the date and time. And if you had the upgraded plan, you will be able to change the region here and test with different regions. So in here you can see each and every request that I have run in this test monitor and the console log as well. So once it starts running, it sends a Taurus generic started first login and everything. So for each and every request, the response body is logged, and it gives you a very good detailed insight onto how the monitor has been run. So if I go to a failed one, so you can see in this section it will show you all the failed requests. And if you go to the console log, so you'll see some of the failed requests are displayed in red. So it's really easy for you to identify any issues if there are using this monitor. So this is the one. This is one of the screenshots that I showed you earlier that I'm getting an email of. So I'm getting the email as well even if I fail or pass in the monitor. Every day at 12 AM I'll be getting an email once this monitor is run. So so as you can see, this is the status of the monitor. So yesterday this was unhealthy and it was displayed in red because yesterday's run was failing. So for some reason I think most of the failures are because of response time issues. So if at least one test fails, then the status will be unhealthy. But since the latest one passed, so it shows as healthy. So as I told earlier, so you can also run this manually as well, which I have done in the very first iteration. So you can run this manually as well. And the other thing is in the free version, if I check my usage limits, so you will see that I'm only wait a second, I'll just share my browser. Yeah. So I'm only getting 1,000 calls per month in the free version. So as you can see, this is monitoring usage. So only 1,000 calls per month. So in real life, so I will not be able to run it every day at 12 AM. But what you can do is you can create multiple accounts on Postman if you have multiple emails. So I have a couple of emails with couple of Postman accounts. So what I'm doing is I'm changing everything weekly, and for each email I'm getting the result. So I'm having about 5,000 calls per month. So that's how you can bypass that. That's one way that you can bypass. So if you have a paid version, you can easily use this for monitoring each and every day. So I think for our projects, it might be enough if we run the regression test every sprint. So therefore, I guess 1,000 calls is might be enough for some projects which doesn't have a lot of API calls. But if you have a lot of API calls, it's not going to be easy with the free plan. But it has something. And as you can see, I created this account, this monitor on the 9th of July, just for the demonstration. So as you can see, it will reset on 9th of August this year. So you can see that that's about the monitoring of APIs using Postman. So the next thing is reporting. So as you can see in this report, so I have already opened up a report, so I won't be running the tests everything again because it will take a lot of time. So as you can see in this report, it has a total of 473 assertions, and as you can see, it has 354 requests and this amount of pre-request scripts, and stuff. So the total run duration. So this is a report generated using Postman and Newman and an add-on called HTML Extra. So they have this beautiful CSS styling for the report. So if you go to the total requests tab, so you can see each and every folder that I have in my Postman collection will be displayed here. And if I take a single folder, all the tests inside that folder will be displayed here. And if I do a single request, yeah, so if this get user verify activation email is sent, so this request, so as you can see the test pass percentage is 100%. That means I have, I think, yeah, I have 4 tests within this request and all of them has passed. So this is the first one is activation email is sent, and the second one is user belongs to the role that I just created, and the other thing is checking the response code. So likewise you can see that the amount of tests, so everything has passed, therefore the test pass percentage is 100%. So if one fails, the percentage will be 75% likewise, and this will be in red if it fails. So you can see a nice detailed description of everything that's related to this request and response. So the response code, the mean time, and the response request headers here, the response headers, the response body, and the request, the tests, and the yeah, and everything is displayed in detailed manner in this section. So for each and every request, you'll be able to get a detailed breakdown like this. So that's the Newman reports. If you have any failed tests, you will be it will be displayed here, and if you have any skipped tests, just like I told you guys in the presentation earlier, so the skip test will be displayed here. So that's the reporting using Newman. And the last thing is we can actually use the Postman scripts to do a load test with JMeter. So for that you need to go to this site load event, and they have this Postman to JMeter converter, but this site was not working when I checked in the morning. Let's see. Okay, it's working now. Okay, so if you can see, you can upload your file here. So you just have to upload the Postman collection file, and it will convert and download your JMeter collection file. So it will just do every conversion within itself. And so I'll just, I have already downloaded the JMeter file. So what I'll do is I'll share the JMeter file with you guys. So you can see I have opened the JMeter here, and so this is the collection, JMeter collection that I got downloaded from that website, and I have imported into JMeter. So you can see every request that I have written using Postman is comprehensively converted into a JMeter request for the load test. So if you go inside one request, so there are some modifications that you need to do. For an example, so if you have this Titan web URL, so this is the way that we define variables in JMeter, but in Postman we just use 2 curly brackets before and after the variable name, but the website is intelligent enough to convert the variable, the way of defining variables into JMeter's way. So you can see the Titan web URL variable is here, but uh, since the website only converts the collection file and not the variable file, so these variables will need to be defined manually within JMeter by ourselves. So that is one thing that you need to do before running this JMeter load test. So every variable, so for example, this username, password, every variable you will have to define manually. Once that is done, I think you will be able to run the load test for the same set of APIs. So I haven't tried this in Taurus yet because with the new microservice integration, we have not run the load test yet. But I think this will be really easy to initiate your load test if you have a comprehensive working API test set written in Postman. Okay, so that is, I guess, it for the important features in Postman. I'll go back to my slide. Okay, hope you guys can see the slide. So the next thing is why we should use Postman as a API tool. So other than with considering all the features that I just showed you, I think it's at least enough to start using Postman, or just to get a look into what this app is using your APIs, API test for your API testing. So the other few points that we should consider is that it's free to install and it's really easy to start. So as we all know, so it only takes a matter of minutes to send your first API call using Postman, and it has a wide support for all the APIs like REST, SOAP, or anything, and schemas like GraphQL, RML, and stuff. And it's also extensible, so you can also, I think, edit the API as well, and it's integratable for your Jenkins continuous integration pipelines and stuff. So it's really extensible, and the most important thing is it has a big community support. So I think it has about 15 million users in the community right now. So they started small, but now they have updated that with various feedback from all those users. And if you run across any problem in the Postman app, so you just have to go for their community forum. And personally, I have never faced a problem which doesn't have an answer in their forum. So I think that's a really plus point when you are considering a tool for your API management, because since it's a grown app, now it has a lot of users and community members, and it also helps in reducing the bugs within the app itself, because there are so many users and they value their feedback. That's about the tech talk, guys. So I guess I hope you guys got something through this.